Hey, Monica here from Monica Says. I hope you've been enjoying my YouTube channel and all the videos about connecting with your spouse, how to get your kids to eat healthy, and some other topics that I've shared. And tonight I'm going to share a big part of how we fairly well manage a family of 6. So we have 4 children. We have a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4.5-year-old, and soon to be 7-year-old. And so we try to have a peaceful and kind of a calm environment at home. And one of the ways we do that is that we have a schedule so our kids know what to expect and what's expected of them. So behind me here is our family whiteboard. On the whiteboard on the left side we have our schedule, and this is helpful when grandparents are here, when mom and daddy get to go out of town, that sort of thing. Helps grandparents to stay on track with the kids. And I work 3 days a week, and we have a nanny that comes to our home those days. So this way everyone is on the same page and everyone has a much smoother day and everyone's much happier. So I'm just going to review our actual schedule itself. And I'm a short girl. This board's up tall, so I'm going to use my little, what is this, a yardstick? My yardstick that a friend of ours decorated for us. We've had this for several years. So up here at the very top, and you can call me Mrs. Hicks during this video because I feel like a teacher right now. All right, no misbehaving. In the morning, school days, our daughter Bella is up at 6:15 when she needs to get up to get ready for school. By 6:50, she's got to be out at the bus. And then around 6:45 to 6:30, our other kids just naturally wake up around that time. So while everybody's waking up, we really like to just cuddle and snuggle and maybe watch a little cartoon or something like that for a little bit, but mainly we just like to cuddle and snuggle. And then I can reach this now, I don't have to use my yardstick, there we go. About 7:30 to 8:30, we have breakfast. We try to have all the kids eat together, and typically my husband or I will join them for breakfast on most days. Then between 8:30 and 9, we want our kids to get groomed. It's really important to us that our kids be dressed. We don't live in PJs or loungewear at our house. It's just not our style. So we don't roll like that. So we're gonna get up, we're gonna brush teeth, we're gonna pick out hair, brush hair, hair gel in the hair, whatever it is for the kids. We're gonna get them dressed and groomed because as we teach them this when they're little, we want them to be able to do more of this on their own when they're reaching school age. And we don't want them to be prideful of their appearance, but we want them to take a little pride in their appearance. We also, let's see, after they've done the getting dressed, brushing teeth, doing their hair, we have a chunk of time, usually 2.5 hours after all this is done before we're going to do lunch. Now, a couple of days a week, one of our children has therapy, play therapy, speech therapy, that sort of thing. So oftentimes she's doing therapy one morning a week at a more quiet room in the house. So the other 2 kids that are at home during the day are encouraged to do things like creative play in their room with their kitchen sets, and every now and then maybe some Play-Doh, color, watercolors, that sort of thing. And then we do some TV time, but this is not we don't primarily spend lots of hours in front of the television. So that's kind of their time there. We are really blessed to have a fairly good size house, and we do have a dedicated, like a family room, playroom downstairs, which is a great option. And then we encourage the kids to play individually in their rooms as well as together and taking turns in different rooms to play. So it's like a whole nother little playroom when they play in each other's rooms. Moving on to lunchtime. So, 11:30 to 12:15 approximately, we have lunch. Now, I want to say approximately, we do most of these things within 30 minutes to 1 hour of what's on the schedule. It's not like we're blowing the whistle, ringing the dinner bell, smacking hands, saying we got to do this now, it's the time. This is just a a representation of typically when we do things. The next thing on the schedule is nap time. There's a little bit of a gap here between that 12:15 lunch ending and 12:30 for nap. You know, you got to take them to the bathroom. We have rules that you always, if you're able to, if you're old enough to, if you don't have a broken leg like one of our children has right now, you clear your dishes, you take your own dishes to the sink, you put your napkin in the trash can, you go to the bathroom, you wash your hands and your face, and dry yourself off after every meal. This is something we're teaching the kids so that, you know, they're not getting greasy spots on the furniture, because we want to take good care of our things. Again, we're not idolizing our home, but we just want to take good care of what's been given to us, what we've been blessed with. The next thing is nap time. Now, between 12:30 and 3-ish. Now, again, our kids are not always in their room for 2.5 hours, but sometimes they are. For our 2 younger girls, nap time is an absolute must. They would be little hellions if they didn't take naps, okay? And our 4.5-year-old is getting to that point where he's not really wanting to take a nap, but he does the slow chew at dinner time, supper time. If he doesn't, and you know, he's still chewing the same bite 2 minutes later, we know that B did not take a nap that day. So he still needs naps. We're kind of working on all that. But and after they wake up, we encourage them to just play quietly in their rooms until about 3 o'clock. Now, big sister gets off the bus a little bit before nap time / quiet time ends. She gets off the bus. When she comes home, she is expected to potty and wash her hands. If your kid attends public school, private school, if they go out in public to the grocery store, you know how they touch everything, and they're little germs, little germ carriers. So it's really important that she doesn't track all that, you know, bring all that stuff in and touching all the surfaces in the house. We want to stay healthy and happy and all that good stuff. So we have Bella go potty, wash her hands well, come in. She is expected to unpack her snack, her water cup that she takes her water to school in every day for her snack. If she hasn't drank all of her water, she's going to drink her water before she has her snack. Then we're going to do homework, reading, that sort of thing. Usually about the time we're finishing up the homework, the other kids are waking up or they're ready to come out of their rooms. They've been playing for a little while. So after that time, all the kids, and usually Nene, our nanny, and if I'm home, if it's a day that I'm home with the kids, we're all ready for snack between 3 and 3:30. Now, if you've watched my video about how to get your kids to eat healthy, you'll know that snack time is not meal time. If you want your kids to be hungry and ready to eat things at dinner time, do not overfeed them at snack time. So I put on here, I would prefer that our children be given fruit and water. Now, it could be something like a banana with peanut butter, an apple with peanut butter, some orange slices, that sort of thing. But we don't want to serve them a meal at snack time. Next, from 3:30 to 5, I want them to play, creative play. I want them to play together, hide and go seek, chase each other around the house, read books, do crafts, play outside. What a great idea. Everybody needs vitamin D, time in nature. Get your kids outside. So, that sort of thing, coloring, whatever. Then about 5:15 to 6:15 is our family supper time. We find a great value and we place a lot of importance on having supper together as a family. It does lots of things. It's a way for us to connect around the table together. Our children get to practice their manners. They get to practice having conversation without interrupting one another. They get to share their day. We ask them how school was, if that's our first interaction with them, if we've worked that day. How was school? What happened today? What all did you do today? Did you have a good day? What did you learn today? It's so important to have that face-to-face contact, sharing of a meal, breaking of bread. It's so important to do those things together. And it's a great idea to have a no screen policy during your dinner. My husband and I do not have our cell phones at the table. We do not have the television on. Even music can be distracting for our children at their young age, so we really don't have anything else going on. We really focus on each other. So after family dinner, as I mentioned before, our kids take their dishes to the sink, they go and wash their hands, and we're trying to teach them to think for themselves. What do they need to do to get ready for bed? So we're trying to instill in them get ready for bed means several things. So this is what getting ready for bed means at our house. You're going to put some clean undies on, okay? You're going to wash your privates off. Preferably you do that before you put your clean undies on. But for the kids, that just means taking a baby wipe and just, getting the face, the underarms, and the undercarriage, okay? Nobody wants to be around stinky, itchy butt cracks, right? So anyway, you're going to brush their teeth and then brush their hair. So the nights that they don't take a bath, these are all things that our soon-to-be 7-year-old and 4.5-year-old can do without assistance from us. If your children are not already doing those things, I would highly encourage you to teach them, help them out for a few nights to a week or so, and then leave them to do it. Ask them, have they done that? Or just, kind of peek around the corner. These are things that 4, 5, 6-year-olds should be able to do on their own. They should know what is included in getting ready for bed. Next up is cleanup. So after they've gotten ready for bed, the playtime is over for the evening. It is our kids' responsibility to clean up after themselves. We want to create kids that take responsibility for their actions. Am I right? So part of that is teaching them as toddlers and small children to clean up after themselves. They are more than capable. So we have some time set aside to do that. They need to do a quick scan of our living room, of each other's bedrooms. If they've been all playing in, say, Lily's room, she has a play kitchen in her room. If they've been playing in her room, then they all need to help clean up that mess. And then they're responsible for their individual rooms. This only takes about 10 to 15 minutes, and it is well worth the investment to teach your children to be responsible for cleaning up after themselves. This is going to pay off big, big, big for us in the future. I know it is already paying off with our 4.5 and 6-year-old. They can clean up a room really, really well. I'm so proud of them. So, and then next up is bedtime stories, songs, and prayers. If you have children, multiple children especially, you know that each one of them, they want to have like a really deep theological conversation at bedtime, or they want to sing every single nursery rhyme that they know. And while you may think that's cute, that's not always an option. So we try to set aside about 15 minutes for bedtime. My husband and I, if we're both home, we usually do 2 and 2. Either one of us will do the 2 youngest or the 2 oldest. We kind of switch off so that they're getting kind of an equal share of mom and daddy. So we do that, and once we put them in their bed, they are to stay in their bed. Okay? So by 7:30, all kids in the bed. Now, of course, there are exceptions if we have a family dinner out, or it's the summertime and we're not having to get up for school the next day or something like that. But the majority of the time, we stick within 30 minutes or so to the schedule that you see here. Now, on the bottom of the day here, I normally just put notes for the day. Mainly this is for Nene, our nanny, and I'll let her know what I want the kids to have. If I have leftovers or something specific in mind for lunch, I will make a note of that here, because we don't always get to communicate that to one another with the kids and everything when she arrives in the morning. I may also put down an activity that I would like for her to do with the kids, such as going on a walk, taking them in the backyard to play, or returning books to the library. So if you have a nanny, or if you have a family member that cares for your child, it's really important to communicate, and this is a great way to do that. If you have the whiteboard, it keeps both parents on the same schedule. Again, grandparents or any babysitters or nanny or anything like that that's going to be taking care of your kids. All right, so now if you've been looking ahead, you see we have quite the extensive house rules. This is also so everyone knows what's expected, and that the kids aren't pulling one over on the babysitters or taking advantage of someone who they think doesn't know what they're supposed to be doing. So on here we have, of course, these are things that are not allowed. So So no hitting, spitting, biting. This is a big one here, complaining about food. And the reason that's the big one is we want to teach our kids to be grateful. We want them to be thankful for what they have and to realize that we are very blessed here in the United States. Now, I know that there are lots of people that have it hard, but the majority of us are not going without a meal. And we do not want to teach our children to be ungrateful for what's been given to them and what's been given to us. So it's really a big deal. The other thing is, if you get one or two of them complaining about what's for dinner, then they all kind of want to fall in line. So if you have multiple children, if you allow one child to complain and go on about how ungrateful they are, then you're probably going to have a whole bunch of little whiners complaining about what they have. So you got to nip that in the bud. Next up is no talking with food in your mouth and no smacking with food in your mouth. It's important to us that we teach our children manners. So this is not allowed. The other things that we have here are saying no to adults or just a general disrespectful attitude towards adults. And I mean that in our home. These are our house rules. So these are people that we trust to be around our kids and that are in a position of authority with our children. So my husband and I, grandparents, and our nanny. These are people that are, when they ask our children to do something, or they tell them, we need you to stop doing this, or we need you to do this. We want them to be respectful. We want them to listen and mind and say, yes, ma'am, or yes, sir, and be compliant. The other thing they're not allowed to do is huff or talk back. Their actions and their mannerisms are just as disrespectful as saying no out loud, and we want to teach them that. Also, no lying, and this is a big one, no touching the television. Now, a lot of people may think, gosh, you guys sound really strict, but it's kind of a safety issue too. The area that our TV is on, if they did push it back and forth or grabbed at it, I mean, it could come over. It would take quite a bit of pulling or pushing at the TV to do that, but we want to teach them that it's not safe to play with the television. Also, no arguing over toys. We want to teach our kids that their relationship with each other is way more important than things. People are more important than things. The next thing is no food or drink out of the kitchen. It's obviously, for cleanup reasons, we don't want a mess all over the place. Let's see here. And no getting out of bed during nap, quiet time, or after bedtime. So maybe some of you are struggling with this. You've got a kid that just looks so cute when they come out of their room, and you think it's sweet until they've done it for like the 15th time. So if you just say, no, you're not allowed to do that, and there's a consequence for it, that's whatever you parents decide the consequence is going to be, send them back to bed. Another thing is, if you don't want to have a consequence for that, you just don't give them whatever it is they want. No, go back to bed. No, go back to bed. No, go back to bed. After you say that and keep saying it, they will go back to bed if they're not getting what they want, which is just to stay up. Okay? Then, if they have a disobedient spirit, so if they're just not, they're just being, a brat. I mean, you know what I'm talking about when I say that. Having a bad attitude. They don't get what they want. They don't get their way. So they're going to sulk and they're going to pout and they're going to do all this stuff. And then again, tattling. Nobody likes a tattletale or a snitch, okay? You got to teach your kids that. So these are the consequences. This is the consequence. If you do these things, because they know we've introduced like one new rule at a time over the last 2 years. It's taken us 2 years to accumulate and to teach our children that these things are not okay. If they make the choice, because disobedience is a choice, breaking rules, breaking the law, those things are a choice. So we want to teach our children, if you do these things, this is your consequence. So we know as adults that for every choice that we make, there's either a good consequence or a bad consequence. Now, we do praise our children when they do things very well, when they do well in school, when they do well when we go out to dinner or to the playground and they're kind to each other. We give them praise for that. So I don't want to sound like all I'm talking about are bad things, but we are talking about the house rules, so that's no doing these things. If you do those things, our children know that their consequence is time out, okay? So time out at our house means you put your booty in the spot I put it on, which we have a bench, or you put your nose on the wall in the room that we're in or in the corner, whatever it is. You sit still if you're standing against the wall, hands behind your back, no wiggling, nose on the wall, okay? If they're in timeout, that means their bottom stays firmly planted in the timeout seat, okay? Now, they're going to do that for 3 minutes plus 20 seconds of silence. Now, there is a method to this which I learned through parent-child interactive therapy. It is a parenting interactive therapy that I went through a program, and it was amazing. So if you need more help on this specific topic, I will look for a therapist that could offer that training with you. Now, so 3 minutes plus 20 seconds of silence. You're not going to reward your kid or let them out of, you're not going to let them out of their consequence, their timeout, their punishment, whatever you want to call it, if they're kicking and screaming, okay? Because otherwise you're just reinforcing that if you kick and you scream and you yell, that you get what you want. And that is not so, okay? So, if they get up, out of timeout, the 3 minutes is going to start over, okay? Then, continual bad choices result in solitary. Now, I'm just jokingly, we don't like stick our kids in a room or anything, but we do put them in, make them go to their room and be away from the family, apart from everyone else for a period of time. Now, as their parent, you know your child, you know the age and what's appropriate for their age. But if you've been doing 3-minute timeouts and it's not producing the attitude adjustment that needs to be made, then you can choose how long they need to go to their room, or sometimes we choose for them to go to bed early. Oftentimes, when kids are constantly misbehaving, it's because they're really tired and they just need a good night's sleep. There can be other things, but a lot of times it's being tired. So we often find that they wake up the next day refreshed and back to their sweet little selves after they've had a good night's sleep. So that is the Hicks family schedule and the Hicks family rules. Now, we do tell our kids lots of times, we are the Hicks family and we want to be kind and respectful to others, and we want to have good manners, and we want to represent our family well. So those are things that we tell our children, and this is, it's constant teaching. These are not things that you teach them once and they're done. There's constant reinforcement for good behavior, and there's constant reminder of what they should be doing. It's just the way parenting is, right? If you've said it once, you've said it 1,000 times. Now, some of you may be wondering what these little envelopes are down here. So I'm gonna just kind of quickly tell you. We have these like legal size envelopes, and we have one for the quarter or for the months, depending on. So we put all of our bills in here when we get them. In here I have all of my business, Monica's business, second quarter receipts, personal second quarter, and then Brent's business. Now, he has way more receipts than I do, so he has a monthly one. We put these downstairs in our tax box, and then should we be audited, we should have everything month by month. So that's what this is, and it works out really well. This way we can avoid receipt stacks everywhere. Well, I hope that this Monica Says video has been really helpful for you. You can find me on YouTube, Monica Says, Instagram, official Monica Says, and Facebook, Monica Says. So please subscribe, like, and share. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this helps you.